welcome back to Brashonomics. It is funny to think about when you Google somebody, and I mean, we're with Jimmy Dainard, who joins us from Heaton Dainard in Trust Funding and Heaton Dainard Real Estate. And I don't know, Jimmy, have you Googled yourself recently?
You know, I have Googled myself recently. Luckily, it comes out pretty okay.
Pretty okay?
Pretty okay. There's nothing bad on there, and but I don't like to check more than a couple times a month.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like to check a couple times a week. I just find it interesting. My wife says, "You Googling yourself again?" I said, "Yeah, it's so fun."
Do you click the image button when you're?
I try to avoid the images.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, you're one of the founding partners of Heaton Dainard Real Estate and Trust Funding. And you guys really have a full-service brokerage, really offering a wide variety of services, like helping investors acquire properties. And in this type of market, there are a lot more investors than maybe there have been over the last 3 years or 4 years. Yeah,
right now there's lack of inventory is the kind of biggest dilemma for all the real estate investors. Trying to find. I mean, everyone's scouring the MLS, the off-market properties, the auction properties, and we're all trying to find that good buy. And right now, with the amount of competition, the pricing's been going way up. And part of that goes in is the pricing's been going up on the backside of the market too, as the market's starting to recover. In Seattle, the market has gone up over 10% in the last 6 months. So, as the buzz gets better and as the houses start recovering, people want to jump back in because they look at it as a lower risk investment.
And do you guys, so you talk about scouring. I mean, and I want to get into, leveraging the money in order to buy. But, of course, you have to find a house or a property to purchase first. What do you mean by scouring?
For how our company's set up is we have two different engines, basically, that feed our clients' properties. We have two full-time bank-owned agents. All they do is track the MLS. They don't do anything else. They don't list houses. They don't show houses. They don't do open houses. All they do is scour, go through every property, drive the properties, evaluate them, and then bring them out to our clients. So what it really does is puts a good asset and a good investment for them on a platter for them to where they don't have to look at 100 houses before they find that one. We just kind of serve them up one house where the numbers have already been broken down. And then we have another company, Invest Now, which sells off-market opportunities, and that's where we have a team of sales guys that go in. We track anything that's discounted, that's not for sale by a real estate agent, and just find people that have old abandoned houses, and we get those under contract and sell those to our clients.
So, and when you guys do this, you got to have the property, of course, but then you guys are kind of using a different way of financing it in order to get these deals done. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. So as an investor, you really, to get the best discount, you have to make yourself, you have to give yourself the most credentials when you go in to write the offer. There's a multiple of people that want to go through and they want to do inspections, or they want to go get conventional financing because it's cheaper, and they have to put, they have to go through tons of underwriting. They got to get asset checks, they got to get credit checks, and then the property, which you have a beat up asset that the roof's caving in, there's water leaking, there's no kitchens, there's no appliances. They have to go get a conventional bank that's not really used to lending on those items to go fund those transactions.
Which really can't be done.
No, it can't be done a lot of times. Or if it does, it can take up to like 75 days because it's just they have to go through so many different things, or they got to buy appliances to stick them in the property or whatever it is, or do repairs before closing that a lot of sellers don't want to have to deal with, including banks, short sales that people can't do it because they don't have the money, and then estate sales where people inherited an abandoned old house and they don't want to have to go fix up the house and put a bunch of time in and go through inspections. So what we do is when we write our offers, we supply them with a cash offer with no contingencies. They can, close within 5 days rather than 30 to 45 days.
And then that's where this kind of hard money concept comes in, is that right?
That's where the hard money concept comes in. Basically, hard money, what it is, it's a short-term bridge loan for investors that want to seize an opportunity. It's not for a residential loan. It's not a bailout loan. It's not for people that are behind on their payments and need to get out of a bad situation. It's for a short-term. It's so you can realize that investment and capitalize on something that you wouldn't be able to do because you don't have all the cash in hand to purchase that property. Like if you go down to a foreclosure auction, you have to pay cash down there. So you can't get a conventional loan, so you need to either do a hard money loan or have all the funds.
Or have the cash.
Yep.
We're here with James Dainard with Heaton Dainard Real Estate. So you talk about hard money. Why is it short term exactly?
Well, it's short term because the nature of it is, if I want to go purchase an investment property, I'm only going to need that property for, if I'm buying a standard remodel home, I'm going to be purchasing it fixing it up for about 4 to 8 weeks, and then it should sit on the market for less than 30 days if you do it correctly, and then you're going to pay it off.
So you have a kind of, it's higher interest rate, but knowing that it's a short-term gig.
Yeah, it's a short term. You go in prepared to, things that you want to do before you borrow that hard money is evaluate your project, making sure that the timetable with the lender, we write our notes at 6 to 9 months, depending on the project. And as an investor, you want to make sure that your note length is right for the project that you're purchasing. There's no point in getting a 6-month loan for a 12-month project.
Should investors do most investors have access to hard money? Is it something they should think about having?
Most investors, everyone has access to it. It's a matter of getting paired up with the right company. When you're out shopping a hard money lender, and what you're looking for is A, dependability, that they can always fund that transaction for you. B, they can get you an answer very quickly, yes or no, within funding within 24 to 48 hours. When one of our clients submits us for a loan, we go, they send us the address, pictures of the property. We go drive it immediately within 24 hours, walk through the property, and then we evaluate the asset to make sure it's worth it on the backside. And we give them a yes, no, and we get their funding docs immediately to escrow.
So really, it becomes a tool almost in the different ways an investor could buy a house.
It's the tool you have to have as an investor, because A, you can get more properties that way. You can get properties at bigger discounts because people are going to sell. If I'm selling my house and someone goes, hey, I'll give you a $250, and I got to go through inspection, underwriting, and a bunch of other contingencies, or someone's going to offer me,
especially with the current mortgage market the way it is.
Exactly. I mean, the underwriters put you through a lot of different avenues that you have to get through.
I've heard.
Yeah, so they're almost looking for a reason to kick the loan at sometimes. And, especially if it doesn't have a kitchen, they're not going to really want to lend on it. But,
it's called being a livable property is really what lenders that we work with at Cobalt. That's what we want. We want to finance livable properties. And as you said, when the roof's caved in and there's no kitchen, it's just not considered livable.
No, and it's not. And as, a conforming
the whole
lender.
Cooking thing and staying dry,
They know you're not going to be living there for 30 years at that time. And, for us, as an investor, you have to have it in your tool belt because you can seize a lot of different opportunities at bigger discounts. And then also, really, you can get into more opportunities because you don't, if you're buying a house for $200,000 and you don't have $200,000 cash, and that's the only way you can pay for this property, you don't have to have that $200,000 just to buy that property.
So it really, when it comes down to it, sounds like, you can actually get a better deal from what you're saying. Even though the money may be more expensive, if you work it out on paper, it can pencil to be a better deal than not.
Yeah, a lot of sellers they'll give a substantial discount to sell their house in 5 days rather than 45 days. If I'm going to pay, standard rates for hard money run anywhere between 2 and 4 points, 12% interest. And, on a $200,000 loan, that's an average. You're going to end up paying around $8,000 to $12,000 for that loan over a 6-month period. If you can get a $20,000 to $30,000 discount because people will, because you can close quick and you don't have any contingencies, you're already saving yourself money by leveraging that cash.
So, James, you're really looking at the cost of the money versus the rewards of having the property is what it sounds like. And that's something, you have to sit down and calculate to see if it's worth it.
Yeah, and it's important to go through every cost. You want to calculate your monthly interest, what the points are, what the doc fees are, and then what's the upside. If you're going to borrow hard money on any real estate transaction, if there's no upside in there, if the hard money cost looks more expensive than the actual profit, there's no point in purchasing the property. It's a bad investment at that point. So if you are borrowing hard money, that's because you're seizing a good opportunity and you're going to do very well.
How does and this kind of takes us back full circle, James, about finding these properties that are worth it, because it's not like you're just going on going on Zillow or whatever, Google, or I guess you don't really find properties on Google. That's where you find people.
Yeah.
You don't just go on like Zillow or or Redfin or one of these big property search engines and go, gosh, that one's been on the market for a couple of days. I'll just go make a lowball offer with conventional financing. This allows you to maybe scour a little bit differently and then have a better chance of getting the deal.
Yeah, because you can go out and you can target houses that says cash only transactions. Houses that have cracked foundation, and you can look at a whole nother realm of houses that will be significantly less.
Is that something that's on the listing, just cash only?
Yeah, because you can search under fixer, and you can look for just houses that cannot get conventional financing. And those are things that as our agents at Heat and Dainard, we kind of go through all the we kind of sift through hundreds of properties before we go and find those first couple deals and bring those to our clients so they don't have to do the searching.
Well, it seems that also having somebody who's done this before too, because your goal is to find somebody the good opportunity, not just, right? It's a win-win for everybody in what you guys are trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, in all reality, it's a win for the seller because they get to close their asset out quick. They don't have to worry about having to fix a bunch of things. It's easy. It's an easy transaction for them. They can sell it and move on. The investor can seize that opportunity that they wouldn't be able to purchase with anyways because they don't have the cash, or they don't have to go get a cash partner, and give up 50-60% of the profit. They're keeping 100% of the profit for a fraction of the cost. And then for the clients, they can get into more transactions, or if they're working with a limited amount of capital, they can use that capital in more, a variety of different ways. Instead of doing one house, if they have 100,000, they can do two houses and double their profits.
Yeah, well, James, thanks again for joining us again. James Dainard with Heat and Dainard and Interest Funding. Always a pleasure to chat with you about some different ways to acquire real estate. People don't always know that's available. When we come back, a lot of people are searching for value, and not just in real estate, but other investment strategies. Kathleen Miller is going to join us to tell you where you may be able to search for value outside of the real estate market. We'll be right back.